My name is Neyestani. I was born in Tehran, capital of Iran. I'm Iranian. When I was a child, I loved drawing cartoons and paintings, mostly cartoons, because of my older brother, Tuka, is a cartoonist as well, and he's already started to work for magazines as a drawer. Right now he's masterful. He's a great genius in his job. And he was inspiring for me. He's still inspiring for me. And so I was watching him drawing, and it was beautiful to the way that he ran the pen on the paper, and he drew the figures, human figures. It was so great. And he had lots of cartoon albums, comics, pictorial books. So, and also I remember that I had some mainstream comics from DC and Marvel, like Batman, Superman, especially I loved Incredible Hulk. I tried to imitate the drawing, I copied them, the figures, and it was beautiful. So I was drawing, I was good. Then it comes to university. I chose to go to architecture designing and engineering. I got my degree, my master of architecture designing, but I never worked as an architecture. I started to draw cartoons and drawings for magazines since I was 16. In second class of high school, I started to draw, and I continued. And gradually I became more professional. That time I never thought it would become my main job, but I continued. The comic books situation in Iran before revolution happened in 1978. Yes. Before that, I have a vague memories. I was only 5 or 6 that revolution happened. So, but I remember, since that's we were a cultural family, we had a lot of books. My father was a poet. My mother was a literature teacher. So we had a lot of books, and part of them were comics. But the thing is that comic books in Iran, they were mostly translated versions. We had no, tradition of comic book in Iran. Still, there is no real tradition or mainstream of comic book in Iran because of the series of problems. The money, the control and censorship, so many things. So the most comics, they came from foreign countries, all the Tintin series, some Asterix and Obelix, some other. But unfortunately, we had no tradition of comics, and most of the people saw the comics as a children book, not an adult. Still, I believe that many of Iranian people, they take comic book as a children book. They do not take it seriously. So this is the situation. When I started to draw, to make comic books in Iran, it was very difficult, even to find a publisher, even to convince a publisher that what I'm going to do. Actually, the first newspaper that I started to work with was Zan, and I was editorial cartoonist. And I remember that it was a reformist newspaper, and it was banned after some months. I cannot remember, 1 year or less than 1 year, they banned it. Among of many other reformist newspapers that they banned. When I left Iran, I thought that it's a sort of happy ending for unfortunate series of events that I experienced in 2006, but actually it was the start of other series of misadventures. You know, first me and my wife went to Dubai, Emirate, spent some 1 or 2 months trying to get help from embassies and foreign countries. It wasn't successful. Unfortunately. Then we went to Turkey, Ankara and Istanbul, and after that to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yes, to have a illegal trip to Europe. It was another story, and it was a failure as well. So we stayed at Kuala Lumpur for 4 years, and after 4 years, we tried to get help from some human rights organizations like Reporters Without Borders, and finally there was an organization, NGO called ICORN, which is based in Norway, and they accepted my candidacy for the program. It's a program to protect and accommodate authors and artists and writers in danger for 1 or 2 years. So Paris accepted me, Paris City Hall accepted me in cooperation with ICORN, and finally I got visa. I got a European visa, I got French visa, and I came with my wife and my cat all together to France, to Paris, and after 1 year I applied for refuge. Social media is crucial right now. This is the only way to have a communication, to communicate with my Iranian audiences. I remember the time 3 decades ago when some Iranian cartoonists and artists had to leave the country because of the revolution. They came to the European countries and they became isolated, completely isolated. It's not easy to find new audiences because of the cultural differences, because of the language and everything. It's not easy to adopt, especially when you're getting older. When you're older, when you're young, you're 16, you're 17, 18, it's easier to adopt to the new country. But when you're 37, 38, you already made your roots. It's not easy to integrate to the new country. So we had a great artist in exile that they became isolated and even died alone or got a great depressions because of having no audience anymore. The social media helped me to be aware of the situation of my country from distance. I'm in France, I'm in Paris, middle of Europe. Still I have a lot of news about my country in different parts of it. Thanks to internet, thanks to social medias, I could show my works, my daily jobs to so many Iranians through the Instagram, my Instagram, which has something about 800,000 followers, thanks to social medias. It has, of course, some negative aspects as well, like other phenomena. But I try to use the good parts, the positive aspects. Today, you cannot cut the situation, the current situation from the history of Iran, what happened before, especially in these 4 decades after the revolution. At the first, it was an ideological revolution and regime, and gradually it's become more like a mafia kind of system. A mafia including a militia or military system called Sepah, or the Revolutionary Guardians, in cooperation with religion. So they control all the petrols, industries, all the money they have. So they kind of control everything like this. There is no what is called private section in economy, in culture, without they have control of them. So it's like that, and it's really difficult right now to make a change, because people, the ordinary people of Iran, the ordinary citizens, they relied on the government and the regime, the mafia's money. They're working for their companies. I think Iranians are not predictable. When you're hopeless, they come to the streets, they show they will to change everything, and sometimes they become calm and quiet. It depends on I don't know, depends on the what. So I try to be hopeful, try to keep my hopes. And I believe that even if 200 years later we get results, good results to achieve freedom or democracy, I hope it take less than that, but this is my duty and job to help it as a cartoonist.